So last time, what I remember was, and feel free to jump in, you had been attending the funeral of the decade, nay century, nay millennium. The sad sight of Scrappy-Doo being laid to rest. And you were doing that, I surmise, on a bleak, blasted hilltop with the mystery machine not far behind. And there was some inappropriate dancing. For a long time, a lot of dancing to the age of Aquarius, and very strange things happened. Yabba-Doo turned up, and there was the sheriff seemed to crawl around a lot on the ground and be spooked a lot. There were some strange sounds and voices even coming at one point from the sound system of the mystery machine itself, which upset its owner. Not as upsetting as the piles of trash that had been left behind by Shaggy and its inhabitants, littering the interior of his otherwise pristine vehicle. The pinched wires were investigated. The electrical seemed to be at fault in the mystery machine van and were haphazard in nature. Yabba-Doo turned out to be real, but at some points some of you couldn't make him out. Perhaps that was down to the mist and the lights and the atmosphere. It's hard to know. A strange gramophone out of time and place was found buried in the soil. A lot of mourning and wailing and Scooby-Dooing happened. Scooby-snacks were consumed. Many plants were harmed in the making of that video. And mushrooms, I think, and other things. And somehow, in the midst of this chaos and confusion, you wound up speaking with someone with a strong, refined British accent and a tendency to complain about the difficulty in getting hold of tickets and speaking to Yanks unnecessarily. And you found yourself somehow transported. Not really sure how that happened, but it seemed to involve a certain amount of smashing, perhaps, of a gramophone, and ended up staring at this gravestone, noting that the temperature had changed, the climate had changed, and this gravestone that you read told of multiple deaths. It was a family gravestone and seemed to be circa 1860. And there was a lot of reading of a gravestone, to try and to understand what it was about. That's what I remember. Is there anything you want to add to that? Or alter, or change? Or clarify?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, it sounds right. I think if you could redefine for us our immediate sort of new surroundings, please, just to kind of get reacquainted.
Yes, no, that was exactly what I was thinking we would best do, just to revisit the scene.
Apologies.
And your positions in the scene. As Sheriff, you seem to have momentarily, occasionally, your blurring makes you appear as if you're in a mist, which I think is very, very apt. Contrivance of the technology there. Right, so I'm just flipping to my carefully prepared notes. So this gravestone, you surmise, was somewhere in Wiltshire, in a churchyard. I of detailed notes. Too detailed, it seems. Yes, so it is clearly a family grave. As you're looking again around this churchyard, you hear a muffled voice, but it's quite some distance away. And a clipped nasal tone says, "Really, Benjamin, there's no time for that now." And it just drifts through the fog. And looking down, you see that inscription on the gravestone, whereas before it was quite worn and required a lot of deciphering, is now sharply incised, like freshly cut, as if it was the very day it was to be laid, because it is the very day it's going to be laid. It is set to one side. There is a deep hole in the ground awaiting the body to be interred into this family vault. It is, you perceive, early morning now, not the middle of the night when you first arrived, as you look around and get your bearings. And there is a chill in the air, but it's more summertime here, you perceive. And it is light. Not midday, but it is light. And you can hear birds tweeting in the background from trees further in the back of this handsome graveyard with many family plots here and there. But it's a little misty, but this is sort of more like morning dew mist than the fog that you had before.
Remind us, please, what was the name that was called out? And was it a man or a woman asking or speaking?
It was a gentleman's voice, okay. And it was saying, "For goodness sake, Benjamin, there's no time for that now," or words to that effect.
Okay. If we look that way, can we see them?
Yes. Emerging from a small outbuilding and trekking their way towards where you are 4 figures. Walking, trudging really. Picking their way through gravestones, following respectfully the paths laid out, neatly laid out, in company, but they do not look like they're keeping good company, if you see what I mean.
Well, I'll definitely get out the van.
You exit from the completely incongruous 1960s style. Is it 60s style, 70s style? The Mystery Machine's a VW, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely curvy in the European style, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's not the old split screen. It's a curved screen, so it must be more of it's more of a panel van. So it's 1960s, I guess. 70s. Oh dear, look it up on Wikipedia.
Have these 4 people, have they clocked the van, or have they not seemed to be bothered about it?
They seem deep in conversation with each other at times, and then in quiet contemplation, and they don't seem to have clocked the Mystery Machine right yet.
Here's a question for you. What year have we come from?
What year did you want it to be?
2,500.
The future!
Ray gun.
Within the accepted canon of Scooby-Doo, I mean, the adventures take place in what sort of decade? It's more
Well, they're still going, so from 1970 to like the 2020s, depending which series.
Shall we
you
say
want
the
to be.
80s? Does that sound alright to you?
Well, I mean, I'm not getting my mobile phone out, so probably
Yeah, alright.
a wise move.
Yeah, let's say early 80s, so 82, 83, around then. Does that sound alright?
Yeah.
That way I can reference all of my musical knowledge of that time.
And I can take your word for it.
Yep.
Aside, obviously, from freaking out, because this is very strange, Sheriff's gonna, I suppose, try and get a grasp on the 4 people, so we know that at least one of them's a man. Are the other 3 also adult men?
So, the 4 people walking towards you are dressed in dark, somber clothing. And one of them clutches a thin leather style, like an attache case under his arm. The other has the bearing of someone within the medical profession, you'd say at first glance, deploying your natural detective instincts, Sheriff. You know, something about the way that he carries himself, cautiously, and also his jacket is kind of tweedy with leather elbow protectors, and then you realise that he has failed to remove his stethoscope from around his neck, like as any medical practitioner would do. It's sort of a natural piece of ephemera. It's still hooked around his neck, dangles. The other, well, look, they all look professionals. That's your immediate take. Hard to make them out because they're not static, they're moving and they're crisscrossing each other, and at times they're talking closely together, and at times you can't see them because they're obscured by like a little mausoleum or some other piece of graveyard architecture. But that's what you've made out thus far. But they're certainly together.
Guys, unless anyone's got a better idea, I think we should probably just talk to them. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I just make my way back over to the group, check on Scoob and Shaggy, seeing as I am the group dad, I guess.
Yeah, here you are.
How is Scoob?
I gotta make sure.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
How is Scooby? Yeah.
Well, who else from the 70s/80s is here? Did you say Yabadoo is still here? And the Doo dogs, the Doo family and all that? Or is it just us few?
It is just you, but you do have Yabba-Doo with you. The rest of the Doos don't seem to be there. The Doos don't. Oh God, the Doos don't seem to be there. Just
Okay.
Yabba-Doo and you.
Doos don't come with us. Okay. Badoos
Am I
don't.
still talking? I am.
Then, well, I mean, it's misty. We're still at a funeral, right? It's like a mausoleum or something.
It's a funeral still, but it ain't the one that you went to. Ain't Scrappy Doo's, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It appears to be now something to do with this family vault and this stone, you know, and the stone is now... I mean, you paid quite a lot of close attention to it because you were brushing it, and it was worn. It was really worn and weathered, but now it's freshly inscribed and, you know, in place, awaiting
Well,
a body.
well, Scooby might notice the non-worn gravestone, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't read words on it. So, I mean, you know, Scooby is scared. He's not scared of, like, you know, mummies and zombies and stuff, but we've jumped into a completely different time. He is confused, so he's gonna just hide. He's not into the jumping into Shaggy's arms point yet. He's into the, like, just maybe hiding behind Shaggy. I guess if a dad is coming over, Scooby will, like, just you know, latch on to Fred. I'm gonna just... Well, is Shaggy still dancing? He stopped dancing.
Hey man,
He was stamping on a gramophone.
Shaggy, yeah. It's not cool.
yeah.
It's not cool to attack the music this way. It's not cool, man.
Shaggy, pull yourself together, man. Something strange is going on.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily read out the gravestone to Scooby.
I feel the urge. I feel the urge to hide. The urge to hide is strong, and he rinky-dinks away unless you do something actively to stop him.
No, I don't actively stop him. I think it's a grand idea, and I hide
think
behind Fred.
I'll grab him and I'll put him in the van.
Ah,
I'll lock the doors.
hey, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. I was gonna hide over there where those interesting mushrooms lie, man. Hey.
I'm not letting you eat interesting mushrooms, not after last time.
Oh,
Either way,
man.
whether you eat them or not, you'll end up locked in the van. So let's get you in there. You can just relax. You seem a little unwell. I think maybe I just have a nice sleep.
He goes limp.
Yeah.
I palm Shaggy some mushrooms. 'cause I know
Patch
he
him
likes his
like a
snacks.
princess.
Shaggy takes that offering and he goes limp and he just allows himself to be carried, and then shortly after he is deposited into the van, you hear the resonant sounds of his snoring interspersed with some hippie mumblings in his sleep, presumably.
I've secreted the mushrooms in his pocket, so when he wakes up, he can have a snack.
Yeah, great. Mushrooms,
So either
SCOOBY-SNAX.
A,
Check.
didn't notice, or B, just put it down to usual Scooby and Shaggy hijinks. I just make sure there's
Saving them.
no car keys left in the van, and I'll lock him in it.
He is secured.
No lighters.
He's secured in the mystery machine.
Scissors.
Come on, Scoob, let's go check on Yabba. And is
Yeah.
that Sheriff Bronson Stone? He's here as well.
What's going on here, guys? Who are those people?
Well, maybe we can ask them. They seem to be coming over? It's hard to tell in all this mist.
You there? You there?
Yeah.
We'll wave. Try and get their attention.
The four men stop suddenly, as if for first time noticing that they're not the only people in this churchyard. And they look slightly startled, and they pluck up their courage and head over towards you. They were going in that direction anyway, but they seem consternated.
So we are stood right at graveside, right? Because we've been reading the stone.
Yeah.
Okay. So sheriff being sheriff, say, stand back, kids. I'll handle this. Take in authority. Can assume that the four figures come across.
They do.
Right.
They recognise you as an authority figure because of your outfit, but they're puzzled at your presence here on British soil.
Pay attention, Scoob. We get the opportunity to see a professional at work.
Yeah, take notes. So, big meaty hand comes forward, says, Sheriff Bronson Stone, nice to meet you. Do they take the hand?
One does. Benjamin Mallam, he pronounced in clip's tone. It's the surgeon, judging from his attire.
Yeah. Okay. Good to meet you, Benjamin.
I
Kind of
wasn't.
strange. Go on.
I wasn't aware there were any other members of law enforcement to be present here. This is highly irregular. This is to be a private ceremony. Superintendent Foley assured us that we would have peace and quiet after all the hullabaloo.
Yes, well, tell us some more about the hullabaloo.
His eyes narrow. And the other three step up around him, almost in support. Sheriff Stone, did you say?
That's Sheriff Bronson Stone to you, friend.
And I'm Mr. Mallam. To you, sir.
Well, we've had a really long day. Don't mean to get off on the wrong foot here. We're just trying to get appraised of the situation and do our jobs like you good men. Perhaps you could fill us in a bit.
The three men who surround Benjamin Mallam are looking at each other. Frankly, looking pretty disgusted at your appearance. Not the way you appear, but the fact that you're there at all asking these questions. But Benjamin takes a deep breath as if he's used to such impertinence. You've had a day, have you? You've had a day.
So, point of order, the sheriff at the end of the last session took a fear effect of timid, which gives me like minus points to social checks. So he's in a state of kind of, you know, when you're over anxious around people you don't know, you say stupid stuff because you're thinking too much about what it like. That's the kind of emotional state the sheriff's in, and he's going to say, suddenly realizing the grave and then thinking about Yabadoo and Scooby and Scrappy, and is just going to say, yeah, we've just come from one funeral of a near friend to another funeral of I think your friend. It's been quite a day.
My godson.
Yeah. Condolences, Benjamin. Was it him?
Thank you. At least I'm pleased to see that you Americans can obey certain strictures of polite company. Allow me to introduce myself more fully. My name is Benjamin Mallam. I'm a practicing surgeon in Frome. These are my companions, Joshua Parsons, Joseph Stapleton, and Roland Rodway.
Well, here I have Fred Jones and Scooby-Doo.
I think it's the first time he really connects that there is a bipedal dog in the vicinity, and do you know what? He doesn't bat a bloody eyelid. He just accepts it.
So, the sheriff, I'm always consternated that there is a talking dog, even in the Scooby canon, and so he's just kind of take half a step back and shake his head, like unbelieving that someone else, that these Brits are just happy that there is an apparent bipedal.
It's only you, Sheriff.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, it's just an everyday life of Fred Jones.
And if
he's going to take a leaf out of the sheriff's book and he's going to go out and go for the big handshake introduction move the sheriff just pulled off.
And Benjamin Mallam, ever the gentleman, will receive your handshake, and you also get a handshake from Joshua Parsons, Joseph Stapleton, and Roland Rodway as well. You perceive?
I'll follow on and
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also going to
There's
shake
a round of
hands.
handshakes. Yeah, everyone has a handshake, and all of them accept your paw in friendship.
So obviously, Benjamin you said is the doctor or the surgeon. Which one of Josh, Roland, or Joseph is carrying the document wallet?
A good question, which we'll come to in a moment.
Sure.
As a coach arrives. Pulled by a team of dark, black, elegant chargers with funeral plumes and shining tack and men in dark top hats and frock coats, the horses champ and stamp. And they appear to be making ready to grasp at a tiny coffin laid out on high on the back of this hearse. This hearse has arrived, and Benjamin Mallam and his friends just look down at the ground and sober up.
In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm so glad I locked Shaggy in the van.
It's the best place for it. Well, take my hat off, sign of respect. make a little whisper to Scooby. Does this coffin smell like the last one?
I'll smell. Not really, obviously. I'll do like a smell, and yeah, I won't dive on the coffin or.
Yeah. Do you want to make a sense check and walk me through how you're doing your smell?
Okay.
Bearing in mind your various condition brackets.
My condition.
Well, if you have any, I don't remember them all. I trust you've recorded them on your sheet.
don't.
If you had one.
I was jammy that I got a condition that didn't affect me. So.
Wicked.
And do we know what the our DC is or before we roll it?
Well, I choose not to reveal the DC. I set it in my head, you roll it, and you can kind of surmise, by your success or failure, roughly where it is, if you see what I mean.
Okay. Got a D20 plus 3. 11.
$11 on a D20 plus 3. If there is an odour about this body, you're not perceiving it. You are, however, getting some other funky body odours from the men standing not far away from you. And some very strange smells, astringent, clean. Is the smell of that Benjamin Mallam, like he must bathe in antiseptic. As does Joshua Parsons, also have a similar smell, although there's a faint odour of beer. And this Joseph Stapleton again has another clean smell, but a licorice odour on top. And this Roland Rodway is just dank with sweat. And he's the one with the carrying the little briefcase under his armpit, because that's what you're smelling, is the sweat under the little attaché portfolio case. Just almost soaking into it.
Cheese coffin.
No, nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Not a sausage of a smell, no.
Not even clean. Not even a clean smell.
Just the nothing from within, nothing of the body, but you're getting the sort of woody smells.
These
and
other smells.
Yeah, the resins and the piney resins of the wood, I guess.
Maybe I, on the quiet, go into like a list of. He smells like sweaty armpits. He smells like licorice. He smells like antiseptic. I don't think Scooby would know all the fancy words for like formaldehyde and whatever it is, but I just give you a bullet point of each guy, what he smells of. And coffin, nothing at all.
Weird. I'm getting the strangest sense of deja vu.
I repeat the bullet point. Again. I think that's what deja vu means.
Thanks.
Deja vu? No.
Yeah, yeah.
Deja vu, yeah. So, whilst they're kind of, I suppose, temporarily, sort of attention is taken by the approaching hearse, can I try and get a look at the leather sort of portfolio or whatever portfolio that the guy's carrying, see if is there any writing on it, kind of glean anything about what the contents sort of might be from its exterior.
Well, I don't need a roll for that. It's trivial, really. He's not making any effort to hide it, and it is clearly a often used little portfolio case. The only noticeable thing about it is that it is marked J.S. in sort of initials, stamped into it, embossed into it.
Okay. All right. But then maybe another aside to Jeff and Scooby. It's like, should we just stand back and see what happens?
I think that's probably for the best. I mean, this is weird.
There's kind of that weird pressure of wanting to work out, why am I here? How do I get home? But then also, this is another funeral. And having to behave a certain way for the funeral.
Is there anything else you want to do? Or are you just waiting to allow the scene to unfold?
Yeah, I can't think of a single thing I could do right now.
So, as the lawman, I'm going to have a bit of a sense, actually, that for a guy to turn up smelling of sweat in the morning, unusual, especially at a funeral, and can often be a signal of stress or even guilt, may I say it. So is there anything that the sheriff might be able to glean from the body language and the face of this man that might be over and above just the sadness of being at a funeral?
You might glean something, but we're going to need a check for that, I think.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind your timidity, so just how are you going about it? What are you using?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of tempted. You know what? I think the appropriate thing for the sheriff is actually to run an analysis check, because this is work for him. I'm kind of used to trying to read a suspect, so that's going to come under a mental ability. If you felt alright with that.
Sounds fine to me.
All right, let's bang that in there. Oh dear. So that is just a straight 10.
Ooh, a straight 10. And just recap for me, what is it you were trying to achieve there, so I get the right sense of what you were trying to do and how you were doing it?
Well, I'm in work mode. Just got some information from Scooby's nose saying that one of the guys smells sweaty and kind of wrong. I don't object too much to someone having a beer before a funeral, because Dutch courage is a thing. I don't object to the surgeon smelling like a surgeon who's scrubbed. That's sort of well within the realms of normal. And I don't like licorice, but Joseph can eat it if he likes. But the one that is unusual here is Roland smelling of sweat. And I'm just trying to understand if does it look like he just hasn't washed, which is weird, but that's a cleanliness issue on his part, or does it look like his body's running on overdrive because of something, some sort of like internal psychological stressor? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, and you're trying to read him as best as you can, but spooked as you are, and also aware of your faux pas, you find him hard to read. All of these possibilities reel through your mind. They all could be true. You just cannot get a bead on this Roland Rodway. You do notice that this Joshua Parsons just places a hand on Roland's shoulder, comfortingly, perhaps, as they observe the arrival of the hearse. That's it, though. That's all you get.
Okay. Well, maybe drawing a blank and seeing that maybe there's a moment before the coffin actually gets all the way over to the grave, and before maybe conversation might have to shut down. Maybe say, oh, so Benjamin, I understand that the dear deceased was your godson. Was he a relative to any of you others?
He considers your words, steeples his fingers for a moment as he rubs the bridge of his nose, and says, "Are you officially connected with the investigation?"
You'd just say rather we've been drafted in at late notice.
You're very late. My godson's dead already. What are you going to do about what happened to him? He says soberly. And Roland Rodway just has there's a racked sob emerges from his body.
Okay.
These are friends of the family, if you must know. Samuel and William will be here shortly. Should you really be here right now, Sheriff Bronston Stone?
So try and look quite apologetic, I guess, and just say apologies for the late showing. I think we're here to try and understand what's going on as much as any of you, and indeed to try and help. But you're right. There's a time and a place, and let's inter the dead, and maybe sort of take a respectful step back, so without leaving the scene, but kind of downgrading the presence, as it were, of the interlopers, and so that the family can get on with their funeral, hoping that we just get to kind of watch and pay our respects.
I'm going to need some kind of check for this, as you try and mollify him.
All right. So, that's going to be sort of a diplomatic check. Happy to roll that. And I'm not very good at this, so if anyone has any way of potentially helping, that might be good.
I was going to say, can we assist
Yeah.
each other?
Yeah. So if you've got good reason to help, sort of narratively, you can do the lend a hand action, where basically, mechanically, what it means is we both get to roll, but using the best set of bonuses that either of us has available to us. So for the sheriff, a deceptive roll is just a straight D20, but at the moment I'm on a -1 because of the fear effect.
I'm not
Do
sure I'll
we
be
have
much
to
help.
use the same skill as you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just be a straight D8 for me, so...
Okay, so mine's a D12, but no bonuses or anything. I don't think. I think that just means.
Yeah. Well, you're the best out of all of us on that then at this point.
Not forgetting
basically
Yabadoo. Let's not forget Yabadoo.
What does Yabadoo have in social?
Same as you. Maybe a bit worse, actually, because he's a bit hicky, yeah?
So in that case, Scooby and the sheriff can perhaps both roll a straight D12.
I don't.
Yeah.
I know Yabadoo ain't gonna roll. He doesn't want to help right now. It was just a reminder that he actually is here.
Well, maybe what I'll do in the way of assisting is just manoeuvre him away if he's wailing, so that it calms things down and we're not there making a scene, and I'll try and usher him further away from this session.
All right.
I mean, I could deal with Yabadoo if you want to go and help with the diplomacy.
Well,
Great.
All right. I'm going to bang in a straight D12 and hope for the best.
A D12.
Uh-oh, the application did not respond.
Spooky goings on in the Discord roller.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
oh no.
You can always.
Nick, I hope you...
Is that a 1? That's not good. That's
That is.
a natural
well, I'm gonna roll
1.
as well, right? And we
Yeah,
take the
you get
best.
to roll as well, Nick.
Well, come on, D12.
5. Okay.
Not a 1.
Not a
So,
1.
but
However,
before you
before you adjudicate on my adjudication, sir, I read that if you roll a natural 1 on any check, you must immediately roll a D20. Yes, you're getting help, but you must roll a D20, please, Sheriff Stone, unless you know your rule set's better than me, which probably is likely.
No. You nailed it.
Cool.
So if I looked out in that I didn't roll another 1, because if I did roll a 1 on that, then something bad definitely would happen. Now you can still decide that something bad has happened anyway, because this is your show.
Yeah, it says I can have something bad happen as per my whim. I'm feeling quite whimsical. The lawyer steps up, Joseph Stapleton, and says, "You weren't invited at all. This is a close family gathering. Have you not heard anything that has been said? Samuel and William Kent will be here soon. This is a closed funeral. Leave. Or I will notify Superintendent Foley that there are unauthorized investigators here. Consider this your only warning. I, sir, am a QC."
Right. I think he's got his bang to rights, and I'm happy to kind of shuffle off back to the mystery machine for a sense of somewhat familiarity. I'd say, okay, sorry.
I mean, Scooby, you were making an effort to help, and remind me what you were trying to do to help the sheriff in this moment, because it may have some mollifying and mitigating effects.
Well, how about like the sheriff obviously has outstayed his welcome. It might make things easier for Scooby. So the sheriff will step away because he looks quite official and it's obviously stepping on the toes of those around and whatever's going on. So it might make life easier for Scooby if the sheriff kind of distances and goes a little bit further away. So I'll try and take myself out a little.
Sure, you're doing that. Nevertheless, I still want to hear what Scooby was trying to do.
Well, what I originally said I would do was move Yabadoo away because he was making it was still wailing and stuff.
Yes.
I would have moved him away from the
and
side of the grave.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but also Fred said he was going to be helping with Yabadoo too. So, is that right?
Yeah. So if I've
Sure.
palmed Yabba off onto Fred, maybe I don't have to get away quite so far
No.
just yet.
You could stay there if you wanted, whilst the sheriff defers to authority, and whilst Fred is keeping the hick Yabadoo contained, I guess.
I'm just going to start moving in towards the van.
You're moving towards the van as well.
That's all the people.
Everybody to the van.
In the van.
All the troublesome people to the van from the early 80s, 1980s, where we're not even in 1880 yet, apparently.
If he looks like he's in the mood for talking, I might question him when there's time.
Okay. Right now, Yabadoo doesn't seem like in much of the mood for talking. His lips are moving, his eyes are moving. There's a little spittle and froth, but that's about the extent of his vocalizations right now.
I think he needs some time out in the van. Some van time. So
There's some resonant
I'll start
snoring
moving in that
coming
way.
from the resident Shaggy inside that van, but perhaps you're right.
They'll look next to each other, it'll be fine.
Okay, so as you do that, Scooby, you're able to keep a... Where would you like to be, given that Sheriff Bronston Stone is apologising, backing away?
Well, what I was thinking is, but I don't know if, well, maybe this will be like a drop down dice if it's a check. What I want to know is the gravestone that everybody read out. They first were reading it out before we like time ported to now when it was worn and that. All the same names on it. Now I don't think Scooby could probably read, but can you see if the tombstone is as full up, or if there's gaps, or
Nope, it's completely full. But the inscription of the last inscription, June the 30th, 1860, aged 3 years and 10 months. You know, the inscription of Francis Savile Kent is bang on fresh, really fresh, fresher than fresh.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm wondering. So Francis Savile Kent is this little teeny tiny coffin that's 3 years old.
Yeah.
Well, not the coffin.
Mm.
Right, okay.
Is there anything else you want to find out? I mean, Stapleton, Parsons, Rodway and Mallam are still stood there, and they're kind of sharing looks with each other as they watch Bronston Stone depart.
Well, just clarify for me, because I swore blind it was a girl that had died, a daughter or something, when we read it last time. But this guy's saying it's his godson.
Yes, he did say that.
I
mean, Francis can be a confused name.
Yeah, and I get that. But last time we said it was a daughter. But, maybe I've just misremembered it from last.
No, I think it's because it's family graves, so the Mary Ann was buried earlier, I think.
Yeah.
So that's just the higher up name on it.
Yeah.
So whoever was buried there first. So that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. But the fresh name is this godson.
It's the dearly loved son, aged 3 years and 10 months. So it's clearly a boy.
Oh. I think probably Scooby, the thing to focus on would be like, you know, I think this funeral's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with Scrappy's funeral. But then also we're stuck here in the middle of God knows when. So I guess
if I could just offer, the smells, you know, between the coffins entirely different, but the size, bang on the same.
The coffin bang on the same as Scrappy-Doo's.
Yeah, same shape, same size. Coincidence?
Okay. I don't know. Is a Great Dane puppy the same size as a 3-year-old or whatever?
Yep. The coffin size is the same anyway.
Sure. In Cartoonland, yes, definitely it is. All right. I think that maybe can I just like inconspicuously hover around and see if they start chatting amongst themselves or anything?
Yeah.
I'll kind of like back behind another gravestone or something, but within distance to Earwig.
And they do turn and talk, and it seems to me like you're eavesdropping a bit.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances, shall we see what you could make out? Would you like another roll?
Hearing check.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Hearing check. Come on, give me a good one. 20. Do I get to roll a D100 then, Dan, if I get to the top?
You do. It kind of explodes, doesn't it?
You're muted Dan.
So, sorry, in my excitement that you rolled a 20, I just kind of went into my mouth. Yeah, so because you roll the maximum on that 20, you get fortune, and so you get to roll the next dice up in the pool. So because you rolled the D20, well, the pool that you rolled back round the D4. So if you bang in a D4,
and add it
that will
onto your
just add
20
of your D20. So your minimum score is now 20 plus whatever this gets you.
If you roll a 4 on that bonus D4, more stuff happens.
Well, give me 4. 3.
3.
25.
25. That's obscene. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they pay no attention to you whatsoever, because if nothing else, Sheriff Bronson Stone has cleared the air and got out of the way, and they all relax. The lawyer, the doctors, and you just hear Parsons say, I can't quite believe that Mrs. Kent asked me to certify Constance as a lunatic. As if I would.
I commit that to memory with the idea of telling everybody that instantly I get the chance to. I will forget, and Scooby ain't writing stuff down, but Scooby remembers stuff.
You then also pick up on Benjamin Mallam saying, it's as well she can't attend the funeral. After all, that is the way, as it has always been. Women must not attend funerals. She will be quite safe and in good hands, especially after that disaster at the lawn gate. Can you imagine the coffin falling upon the gravel? It remained there for so long until fresh hands were brought from the house. No wonder everyone was so distraught. And they lapse into silence as 2 family members emerge alongside the pallbearers of a coffin of identical size and shape and form as that of poor Scrappy.
Okay. I will do a nonchalant walk and whistle back to the others. Then when I get there, I'll be like, never guess what, and I'll explain the things that I've just heard of for these guys.
Okay. Before you do, I would like to cut to the interior of the Mystery Machine, where I perceive Fred Jones is currently laying, making animals and hippies comfortable inside the Mystery Machine van. Is that a fair statement, Fred?
Yes. Well, Fred didn't see any of the record player smashing going on. Last thing he knew was he fixed his van, and then suddenly he was in another world. So
yeah,
he probably thinks most of this is due to the Mystery Machine itself. So
yeah.
But yes, I'm trying to console Yabadoo and make sure Shaggy doesn't start dancing again.
Yeah, Shaggy is comatose. Let's establish that for now.
Okay.
And is bundled up, in the fetal position in the back of the van and is snoring. Yabadoo is calming down now that he is in an environment that he feels comfortable in, as opposed to everywhere outside. And I mean, his white fur is dank with sweat, but you're used to the smell of wet dog, so. But his eyes,
Immune.
yeah, immune to dog smell. He says, "We ain't in Kansas anymore."
You know what? I don't think we are. Maybe it's some sort of elaborate illusion. Or some special effects or something. I don't really...
Is it
Do you know what's going on, Yabadoo?
drugs?
Do you know?
It must be the drugs.
Drugs?
It must be those hippie drugs. He's always... That Shaggy's a bad influence on Scooby here. Bad influence.
You could be right. But why are we and you here? Why is the sheriff here? I'm pretty sure he doesn't take any of the devil's lettuce. He's as straight as an arrow, that man.
Yeah. He glances around nervously and... Could we put some music on? Might settle me down. Listen to some good old banjo tunes.
I'm not sure that's a good idea. We are at a funeral, and they seem a bit mad out there. Yeah, I don't want to...
We're meant to be at the funeral of Scrappy-Doo. My boy.
How do you know we're not still at this funeral of Scrappy-Doo?
Where are the rest of the doos?
You said it was drugs.
I'm tripping out. You're not helping me calm down.
Let me get you some green tea. I'm sure there's a kettle around here somewhere.
Inside the back of the van, you have, no doubt,
It's basically a camper van, isn't it?
thermos and hip flasks and all the 1980s equipment that you should need, sir. Melamine, and terrible... What the decor of the van is. A rich tapestry. A worshipping rich tapestry to the Volkswagen. So
Smells like patchouli.
Yeah, smells of patchouli, a slight avocado green flavour to it all. I know, I would just feel much safer with the sounds of the honky tonk or New Orleans or some other nice soothing tunes is all I'm saying.
All right. But 2 conditions: got to keep it quiet, and we can't run the battery flat, or else you're pushing. I'll turn the volume down and put the tape on. I think it used to be a CD, but obviously not anymore.
Well,
since we're now from the 80s.
Well, we did say before it was Shaggy remembered having an 8-track.
8-track, yeah.
So clearly you've got more of a vintage setup in your van.
Yeah, I'll play that song. I can't remember what we were playing last week. The one that Shaggy was enjoying dancing to.
Well, you had the Age of Aquarius, but he lost that 8-track cassette, and it was mainly in his head from what you could work out. I mean, you did hear it coming. A lot of strange noises were going on, but I mean, you can have a selection of music of your choice, you know.
Yeah, I'll put Black Sabbath on.
Wicked. Is that a band of the 80s?
7th? It's gotta be.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You can have a bit of
70s.
Black Sabbath. Yeah, all right. So yeah,
I'll look it up to make sure we're lore accurate.
No, yes, fine. Yeah, I think you're good. I'm not a Black Sabbath devotee. I don't know their back catalogue. Yeah, some Black Sabbath comes on, and I think Yabadoo accepts it, although it doesn't seem to be the genre he was after. More hillbilly blues, but he takes it and calms a little. But he's quite jittery, as you would expect.
See anything weird, Yapper? I was in the van the whole time. I just fixed some of the wires have been chomped, so I just fixed them up, and suddenly, you know, we're in a different day. It feels like it's so wet and cold and grey.
You asking this of Yabba?
Yeah.
His eyes focus on you. Anything weird? Weird, you say? Yes. Plenty of weird things. All day. He brings out from under his hat a slip of paper and hands it to you in this great big white paw. This, for a start, wasn't meant for me. Nevertheless, it was in my hotel room.
Ooh. A clue.
Sure. A clue. It's a scrap of paper.
I knew if we split up, we'd find a clue.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
It always works like this.
Yeah. It seems to be a cutting from a newspaper. The Bristol Daily Post. And it reports the following. I can read it for you if you like. Or I take it. I mean, it would be offensive to say that such a dashing blonde person as yourself couldn't read. That would be a terrible stereotype, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I'll totally read it.
All right. Okay, brace yourself. Here comes some exposition.
I summarise it. I skim it.
Shit. All right. I'll keep it brief then. Yeah, that was smooth. Right. The British newspaper, the Bristol Daily Post, says this. On Monday, the 2nd of July, 1860, after months of wind and rain, the season turned. There is, after all, some chance of our having a taste of summer, it says, in a jovial British accent. It goes on to report about the appointment of a certain George Sylvester of Trowbridge to be the coroner inquiring into the Savile Kent's death. It carries on to
read
say...
the name a second time to make sure I write it down correctly in my mind palace.
In your mind palace, you go back into your mind palace and remember it says George Sylvester, and unbidden there's the image of a cat there.
Yeah. Tuxedo cat.
Yeah. Anyway, to recap, it reports that George Sylvester of Trowbridge has been appointed as the coroner and will be leading the inquiry into the death of Savile Kent. It goes on to speculate that the coroner for Wiltshire, as customary, will convene the inquest in the village's main public house, the Red Lion Inn. It then goes on to describe the Red Lion Inn in some detail. And then afterwards there's a cheery advertisement which may or may not have anything to do with the facts of the matter, but I can summarise the advertisement for you if you wish.
Yes, I want to know What's been advertised, and where can I purchase it?
It appears to be an advertisement for a book called The Naturalist in Australia. And shows some images of bottle-nosed snappers, king snappers and sea pikes, and proclaims that it can be purchased for a princely sum from the publishers.
Oh. It's very strange, Yabba. You say you found that in your hotel room?
I'm in an envelope, and he takes out the envelope and hands it to you as well. You can see where his big white paws have clumsily ripped it open and have shredded it virtually in half.
Well, at least we know where we are. Bristol, Virginia. 100%.
Is there anything else you want to do with the newspaper clipping, the envelope, the wet dog, and the hippie?
Is there anything unusual about the envelope, or is it just an envelope?
I mean, it has an inscription upon it in beautiful handwriting. I mean, handwriting that you wouldn't expect to see in the 1980s. It's fountain pen and lots of swirls, you know, looks very elegant.
Seems interesting.
I mean, it's a bit shredded in half because of the dog's clumsy attempts to open it. I mean, digital manipulation is not the strength of the doos.
I will piece it together like a puzzle.
It says, for the attention of Thelma.
Whoa.
Were you sharing a room with Velma last night?
Yabba-Doo looks embarrassed, and his epiglottis, you know, it goes up and down. He gulps quite a lot, and he says, yeah.
Oh. Well, this was for her. It's got a name on it.
He nods.
So why have you got it? You should have given it to her.
She disappeared.